The purpose of today's podcast is to help you explore ways to remove negative thoughts, negative emotions, clear your mind, and hopefully answer the question of how can we have a clutter-free mind. Before we do anything, I would like to first try and eliminate any possible physical condition that may be affecting your ability to concentrate and focus. You might want to look into any vitamin deficiencies you might have that might hinder concentration a bit. Make sure you get exercise because that'll help your circulation and get your circulation going every day. And of course, very importantly, make sure you get plenty of sleep. Anxiety and stress play a very important role. And please make sure your serotonin levels are in balance. In case you didn't know, serotonin is a hormone and neurotransmitter that plays an important role in the body in helping to regulate mood. Before we really go into letting go of negative thoughts or decluttering the mind, I do want to talk about something important, and that's concentration and focus. It kind of lays the groundwork. It's a baseline for everything else I'm going to talk about. When we think of concentration and focus, we might think about studying or being able to accomplish a specific task that requires some level of brain activity. One reason that you might have trouble focusing is that maybe you're just not really into what you're studying or reading or doing at all. When you are not interested in what you are reading or doing, you become sleepy and bored. I guess the question is, are you really invested in all of the time you have to give to what you are in the process of achieving? Some people have a very hard time focusing on one thing because they have an issue or a certain fear about missing out on everything else going on. So here's the fiction. When you have to study, when you need to focus, there is nothing else going on. That is the mindset that you need to enter into. It is the in place to be. Right where your eyes are looking on the page. You need to bring your presence into it. Okay, I hope that helped you a little bit on the issue of, concentration and focus. Okay, now I want to take a bit of a step away from focus and concentration and go into decluttering the mind. If you ever, talk to yourself or think, just kind of ponder about things, let your mind wander a little bit. Listen to how you talk to yourself. Is there any negative self-talk? Is there something critical? And that way that you're critical, is that the same way you would talk to a beloved friend? That's not a question that really deserves an answer. It's just something to think about. Some other questions I want you to think about is there anyone in your life that's putting you down or draining you? Are you in any one-sided relationships? Because remember, You are responsible for who you allow to be close to you. Another question, are you taking responsibility for things that you're not responsible for? If you are, then maybe you might want to consider not doing that. That might be a good way to unclutter your mind. And then leave room to be able to focus and concentrate on other things. Because it's about this process of getting these distractions out of your life. Another way to create a great distraction in your life is to compare yourself to others. It's futile and takes up a lot of thought, time, money, and energy. Good way to think about this is maybe you're familiar with the radio show host Dave Ramsey, financial counseling from like a Christian perspective. He said something very interesting. He said don't buy things you can't afford with money you don't have to impress people you don't like. So maybe it's really about anxiety and status. That's what's getting in your way, and that's what's cluttering your mind and keeping you from being able to really live your life. Another great question to ask yourself is, are you carrying anything poisonous? Are you carrying bitterness, anger, resentment? Do you have some drive for revenge? Maybe you need to let it go or change the circumstances that caused it by setting better boundaries in the future. And honestly, bitterness, anger, resentment, any kind of drive for revenge, those are great podcast topics. So please just hit that like and subscribe button and keep following me, because I'm going to keep publishing content that's relevant to helping trauma victims overcome their trauma and create a path forward. Another way to unclutter your mind is go ahead and just give up on getting anything perfect. Good is the enemy of perfect. Great is the enemy of perfect. Do things that are great. Do a great job. Do an excellent job. Perfection, not so much. I mean, if you can accomplish perfection, go for it. But the other 99% of people might be setting themselves up for failure. Another great way to declutter the mind is boundaries. Say no. Practice saying no. Say no to what you don't want to do. I know it's hard when, families and friends and all these relationships. Start standing up for yourself. Don't let people push you around. A great thing, or maybe a not so great thing that we get caught up in, is social media. Social media is just something that keeps feeding your brain the more you scroll through it. But whenever you come across something that leaves you feeling bad about yourself, maybe just go ahead and unfollow, mute, or block that person. Also, if there's always that person who's just chronically negative, do you really need that in your life? Who cares? Just block them. Maybe a 21st century way to declutter the mind is for those people who spend a lot of time on the computer and the phone. Maybe, keep your phone, keep your computer organized. You heard that saying, cluttered desk, cluttered mind. Well, maybe it goes the same with the phone and the computer. Keep those things clean and organized. Delete things you don't need, apps you don't use, old documents. Maybe just back it up somewhere onto a backup thumb drive or a cloud, but don't have it in front of you anymore. Software you don't use regularly, maybe just get rid of it, uninstall it. Maybe your email box. Treat your email inbox as your to-do list. Everything else gets archived. If you don't want it in your email inbox, unsubscribe, report as spam, or block, as the case may be. Maybe another way to unclutter your mind is to unclutter your environment. Personally, I keep an empty bag in my closet. If there's something I don't use, maybe something uncomfortable or it just doesn't fit right, it goes straight into that bag. It's a donation bag. It goes in that bag and doesn't go back on the clothes hanger. The same process applies to the kitchen, your bathroom, your home office, your work office. Toss things that you don't use. Don't be a hoarder. Keep an eye on all the expiration dates in your kitchen. If it's expired, throw it away. Remember, if you just hoard too many things, it shows you might have a cluttered mind, and we're just not making progress. Part of this whole podcast is about letting go. Maybe read up on minimalism. There's a lot of great books. Send me a private message. I've got some great books I've read in the past about minimalism. Google Zen Habits. It's a great book I read many years ago about minimalism. Whatever subscriptions you're subscribed to, maybe cancel them and save a little bit of money. Keep an eye out on how you spend your time. I think if you do all of these things as a way to live just a little bit each day, I think your life will remain pretty clear. Just other little things you can do. One thing I like to do to keep my thoughts organized and keep my goals clear is read. Read a lot. I like reading books. If that creates too much of a clutter for you, you can switch to a Kindle. A very great option. There's nothing wrong with reading more. If it's a great New Year's resolution, helps keep the mind sharp. Okay, so I think with these tips, I think you can make some serious progress. But what do you do if your mind still feels cluttered? And when I say cluttered, I mean full of thoughts, or maybe you're feeling confused or feeling like you need to move in several directions all at the same time. The answer is very simple. I'll try to keep my answers rather short. One thing you can do is relax your body completely, especially all of your muscles in your abdomen and your stomach area, your neck and your shoulders. Make sure your belt or anything constricting your waist is loose or off. Make sure you have some free movement down there. Another tip, take a few deep, slow breaths all the way down into your lower abdomen. This will help you become more present in the moment. Go ahead and try it now. Try some breathing, slow breaths. And then repeat it, just for good measure. So breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Now, notice how your body is feeling, how your emotions are feeling, how your mind is reacting. Just notice it as a witness, as an observer. Okay, repeat it again. And then try to repeat and repeat. As you practice this more and more, you'll become a better, more observant of your activities, and your mind will begin to relax and slow down. Over time, you will experience less and less clutter, and you'll step into your empowerment as you become more present. This is a big deal, and it's well worth your time and effort. A few closing tips to good ways to clear your mind is maybe practice yoga, stretching, calisthenics. Maybe dancing is the right thing for you. I'm not really much of a dancer, but I can do stretches, do calisthenics, listening to instrumental music, meditation, sleeping, going on a walk in the morning when there's fresh air. Try not to look at your phone during the walk. Get that fresh air, get some circulation before you go in to work. Any form of exercises. The list is endless. Just do whatever floats your boat. What one person does to clear their mind may differ from another person's. So dabble a little in order to determine what works for you. And in closing, remember, the smart way is to live in the present moment. Practice mindfulness. Just ask yourself a question whenever you feel distracted. The question is, what am I doing now? By answering this question to yourself, you will come to the present moment. Be mindful and meditate. Thank you for listening. Please consider subscribing.